America's National Park of Speed provides ample opportunity for spectators to stake their claim at a campsite, set up the grill, and enjoy a weekend of motorsports. But there's little time for any of the drivers on track to enjoy the sights at over 120 miles an hour. Since 1953, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin has held sports car races, first around the streets in town, then on the road Cliff Tufty paved, a 4-mile scenic course through Wisconsin countryside. It's a proving ground in straight-line speed and braking, in bravery, and it's the perfect place for SRO America's annual Midwest trip. Next week, the SRO heads to Road America in the real world for the GT Road America weekend, but this weekend, it's rounds 9 and 10 of the 2025 Toyota GR Cup North America eSports League held in iRacing. Hi, everybody. Kyle Heyer, joined, as always, by Justin Prince. And Justin, round 5 of the season as far as the weekends, but rounds 9 and 10 of the championship. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty in the season here, and this place is so fast. There's so many consequences for going off here, but this is a classic North American road racing circuit. Everybody looks forward to coming here.
Absolutely. It's expected to be a thrower today, whether it's because of potential craziness as some of the drivers think it may go towards based on what happened in last year's races, or people expecting it to be excellent racing in general just because this is a circuit that trends towards, while being a drafting type of racetrack, says some hard-fought racing to be able to make your way through the pack. It's a bit of a balancing act for a lot of these drivers here today that they're going to have to deal with. It's going to be a fun round, to say the very least, to see who's going to be able to power their way through the hard braking zones and who's going to be able to keep it clean.
Yeah, this is a very, very fast racetrack. We mentioned 4 miles in length. Here's our Continental track preview for this racetrack. 4 miles long, built in 1955. 14 turns here, Justin. It all starts with that run down towards turn 1. That's a 4th gear turn in a Toyota GR86 Cup car. Then off to turn 2. That's just a slight kink there, really just because there's a corner station. Turn 3 is your first real corner after the first turn, and it runs you down that long back straightaway towards turn 5. Maybe your best passing opportunity on the racetrack.
Yeah, the Marine Suite going to set that up perfectly. You also have some opportunities to turning through hurry downs. Then you have your next chance up in Canada Corner. Heartbreaking opportunity up to the right-hand side without causing some chances to sand. Lots of runoff opportunity, though, before you hit the Road America straight. There's a lot of opportunities to pass. Those Alcon brakes are going to be utilized a lot today for hard braking and hard lunges.
Yeah, and those hard brakes, the Alcon brakes you see behind the Continental slick tires there. Of course, the GR86 Cup car is our track weapon today. Don't have to worry about heel-toe downshifting in those hard braking zones. You've got that set of 6-speed sequential transmission that everyone will be ripping on through with the sticks alongside them in their sim rigs from all around the country. Qualifying is already underway here, Justin. We're going to head down to the racetrack in just a moment's time. 8 minutes left. You don't get a lot of bites at the apple here in qualifying because this track is so long, over 2.5 minutes per lap around here. What's the key to success in qualifying?
Key to success, quite simply, get consistency, get yourself in the right tire temperature band if you want to be able to put together a good time. That's why some of the drivers, like right here, are warming up their tires, trying to build up temperature to be able to push. Thomas Bellman knows this. You have basically a lap to be able to warm up the tires, then you push that next lap to set your first banker, then you can warm up the tires a little bit for the 3rd lap to push one more time. So Bellman just managing temperatures, keeping it in the high gear to let the car roll. We're seeing that from a lot of people as they try and get some times down here in this session.
Yeah, Michael Yanni, also the championship leader. We'll go over the championship standings here in just a moment's time as well. But this race was actually one of the inflection points of changing the qualifying strategy from last season to this season. We used to do qualifying as a group where drafting was a big deal, but this year we've changed it to single car qualifying, Justin. So no drafting here. You've got to be good, get your exits done. You can't basically make up for a poor corner with just a draft on the straight line. So you see Michael Yanni starting to wind up that 2.4-liter Boxer engine now on the run down to Canada Corner. You got to do this all yourself today. Already some drivers getting some decent laps in here at the top of the order, just over 30 entries, including Max Stallone, who makes his first Toyota GR Cup North America eSports entrance today, right off of his debut in the Real World Series last time out at VIR. 2 top 10s to start his experience here in Toyota GR Cup.
And I know Max Stallone, based on the conversations that he had in terms of in the sim discords, was very looking forward to today's race, trying to get everything together, wanted to join in the past day. Had a solid run in real life, amongst the top 10 last time out for him in real life competition. This debut of the 19-year-old. So going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to carry that over to the sim. He didn't put in any practice times, keep in mind. So These are some of, in fact, are his first laps all session right now to be able to show what he can do here today here at Road America.
Yeah, past the start line here, and again, it's a long run up this front straightaway. We'll jump on board over the shoulder here and watch the gearing. You're going to go up to 5th gear right at the end of the straightaway, past the pit exit, and then it's just a quick jump on the brakes, down 1 gear. Boom, 4th gear, tuck it in. Oh, he's going to go down to 3rd. He's already wound out to 7,500 RPM, then throttling out underneath the gantry there, then down to turn 3. It's a fast racetrack, but a long lap because you're covering so much distance. But Max Stallone, again, we were talking about how the real-world drivers have struggled to find pace amongst these eSport competitors here, but P17 on his first timed lap, not a bad run at all.
Yeah. That's the thing, was reading the details from PT Autosport for the press release when they announced he was driving at FIR, and he doesn't have as much real-world experience compared to some of the others that we've seen. In fact, one of the main things that popped up in terms of me is, oh, he comes from a background where he's pursued sim racing in earnest, to quote the release, to show his love of driving before getting some real-world opportunities a couple years ago. So he's one of those that grew up in sim racing and learned how to race with sim racing competition. And that's the next wave of drivers, right, who are going to be developing in the sim before getting a chance to touch the real world, and in turn, wanting some opportunities and believing in racing events such as this to be able to help themselves in the real world as well and gain more experience in tracks they haven't been into in the real world yet.
And look at him in virtual reality here, looking to the right, finding the apex there, goes up through the gears, and watch into the kink here. This is a fast corner on the racetrack, basically flat out in this car, using a little bit of the rumble strip on corner exit, looking very, very nice for Max Stallone. We'll check on his lap here when he completes it. Michael Yanni is through Canada corner, and he's the championship leader. Like I said, we'll go over the points here before. We got a long pace lap here, so we'll go over the points before the race starts, but currently the championship leader, Thomas Belleman, Andre Castro, Brennan Hawken, other drivers that are chasing him not only right now on the racetrack, but in the title fight as we get down to our final 2 rounds at Barber Motorsports Park and then Indianapolis Motor Speedway in October. So here comes Yanni up the hill. Morgan Burkhardt jumps up to 3rd place. But we'll see what Yanni can do here. Watch the 23's lap time. 2:32.361 was his best. And now across the stripe, it is a 2:32.380, so not quite faster. And where has Max Stallone gone? Here he comes across the stripe, goes to 13th quick there, Justin. Not a bad lap.
Not bad. Going to be actually right in the same ballpark as Camden Hibbett, and we know how good Hibbett's been throughout the season. As someone we were talking about, Morgan Burkhardt trying to build up some momentum here. Amongst those that look pretty solid. He's looking really good, in fact. 3rd in session so far. By far, his best qualifying effort we've seen, I believe, all season from the 67. Usually we haven't seen him towards the front. Has been flying and is in the same ballpark as some of your championship competitors. Yeah,
also currently runs in a GT4 class car in some sports car races in the real world. So he's gone, another driver that's gone from sim racing to the real world and is finding some pace here in the qualifying session. You mentioned Camden Hibbett earlier out of Galena, Ohio. This is a track that he's got plenty of real-world experience on as well. There he is now working his way through turn 8 and into the carousel, this long multi-apex right-hander. You can let the car track out. We'll get around the trees there. And right when you tuck back in, you see this curb right here. You want to throttle back up. He's already on throttle, tracking out under the bridge. And then listen to his throttle here through the kink. This is a fast section here, Justin. Will he lift?
Question, the answer is
no.
Gonna have maybe a little burp of the throttle. Doesn't look like he really did much of anything, just kept it as planned as he could. Be able to carry the momentum because you don't want to end up lifting, cost yourself an extra few tenths of a second down the straightaway for your head up to Canada corner on this racetrack. Hibbett going to need to push to find an extra second though if he wants to join the rest of the championship front runners up front.
Yeah, especially keeping pace with Morgan Burkhardt. Those two spend a lot of time in iRacing together. We'll see what they've got for each other here. Max Stallone been bumped back to 16th. So a lot of shifting and shuffling here in the tail end of this. That'll be an off track, I think, there for Camden, and he'll quit right around there. Thomas Belleman is working his way around. He'll get one more bite at the apple here before the checkered flag comes out in about a minute. Ooh, touched the grass there a little bit on the entry to Canada Corner. That's a very fast braking zone, and the grass is on the left. The track curves there. If you touch the grass, very easy to find yourself wound up off course and in the gravel.
Yeah, and it eats the marbles very easily here, and getting yourself a 1X that would invalidate the lap. But Bellman still going to keep pushing on. Don't think he triggered it there. Might have just triggered it there. Got some left side tires into the dirt here. We'll see if the lap counts this time by. He needs to pick up a little bit more because Yanni put down a 232 flat. Can he find the 4/10? The answer is he stayed about even.
Yeah, 464 to a 427 was what he had, so a little bit slower. So he will call his qualifying effort complete. Here comes Blake Townend. He'll be one of the last drivers across the stripe in the number 57, and that was a 232.8. That was a little quicker, and it will jump him one spot up into 10th place. Qualifying complete. It's Michael Yanni on pole. We said that we would talk about the championship situation, so let's do that now here while we're in our transition phase. Let's have a look here at the current point standings. It's Michael Yanni, 143 points over Thomas Belleman, 120. So it's still pretty tight at the top there. But our previous champion, Michael Polasek, is not out of the story yet. He's still about 50 points back. But we gain a lot of points each round here, Justin, and there's still a number of races to go. 6, in fact.
Yes, and things are getting more and more tighter at this point if you want an opportunity. But Michael Yanni has been very difficult to stop. He is the only driver in this series to be in the top 5 each and every race, has the majority of the race wins so far. It's going to require a stretch of bad luck in 1 or 2 races for Bellman to truly close up, or better yet, for Polasek to have a true shot on jumping up to try and defend his title here. It's been pure consistency from the top 2, and yet again, this qualifying session we just have proves it. They're the top 2 this season in terms of outright pace.
So about over 30 drivers entered here today, and it'll be a really fun race to watch. We always talk about the slipstream here, how much co-opetition you're going to get to do in these 2 25-minute races. But again, about 10 laps is the distance that we have to compete here. But that number can vary based on the pace of the front runners. And we saw a lot of drama late in the going here last season, Justin. Back when we had the single race format, we had drivers getting spun out of 4th place with 2 laps to go. It gets intense here in the final laps of this one.
Extremely intense, especially since this racetrack trends towards the wild. To run up the Moraine sweep, see a lot of craziness with all tracks and people spinning and side by side, coming through hurry downs up to turn 8. Kettle bombs, we've seen how tough it could be. Let's talk the track preview once again, brought to you by Continental. One more time to emphasize this. We talked about how it's full throttle up the Road America straight, for example, to set things up on the front straightaway, to build up draft, to be able to set up opportunities for turn 1. If you don't get a chance there, well, you have to remain patient because you had that run up through 2 and 3 before you had up through 4, that long sweeping run to set yourself up to the Moraine sweep. And from there, it's a charge through the rest of the course to be able to get there, whether it's going to be through turn 8 to be able to get that lunge up the inside, or whether it's trying to remain patient up to turn 12, Canada Corner, where you're going to have a prime opportunity to make some lunges up the inside line. If you get the pole, some late lunges should be expected there. It's going to be interesting where a lot of these drivers plan out their passes.
Let's have a look at our starting grid here today. It's Michael Yanni on the front row alongside Thomas Belleman. The front runners in the championship standings are out front to start this race. Then in 3rd place will be Morgan Burkhardt. In the number 67, Andre Castro rolls off 4th place. Then Michael Polasek for the G-Force Racing Team. Then Nick Yanni, PT Autosport with Copeland Motorsports in 6th place. Brandon Hawken and Josh Soto in 7th and 8th. And then Paul Darling and Blake Townend, 9th and 10th, Justin.
Russell Soto starts off at 11 today for things. His teammate Kevin Rowland will start next. Edwin Onofre will start 13th. Nate Stewart will start 14th. Camden Hibbert, we talked about him, will start next to his buddy Maxwell Stallone, who starts 16th. Marcelo Lozano will start in 17th today for Tim Biensis Racing. And then it's Michael Montello, who's next to him. A deep starting spot, surprisingly, for the ST Racing eSports entry. Camden Martineau usually towards the front. Aaron Smith is next to him in the PT Autosport entry to round out your top 20, Kyle.
Then it's Brett Gardner for Tech Sport Racing. Major Monsivice in 22nd. Wan Shi Lin in 23rd. Then Patrick Mason in the number 92 rolls off in 24th spot. Then Charles Wimbley and Chris Wetz in 25th and 26th, with Alex Penn for Skip Barber Racing and David Schofield in 28th in the number 16 entry. Nick Sudik for Fiercely Forward, and Tadas Litkis making his second start of the Toyota GR Cup North America Esports Championship. He rolls off 30th place, and Anthony Montello for Lazy Rocket Vinyl right at the tail of the field. They head down through turn number 8 now and into turn 9 and 10, the carousel, and the next time they get here, Justin, it will be at full tilt, full throttle as they accelerate through. This is rounds 9 and 10 of a 14-round championship. We've come from all the way from Sonoma to Circuit of the Americas to Sebring to VIR to Road America, and it's just Barber Motorsports Park next month, and then in October it will be the season finale at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Remember that there are cash prizes on the line for each individual race and for the season title as well. Michael Yanni well on his way to recovering his prizes that he felt like he might have had a chance to earn last year, but was beaten by Michael Polasek. Polasek has had a good year, but not the dominant one that he had last season. As we look at the championship situation, we mentioned Michael Yanni is leading by 143 points. That's with 5 wins to Thomas Belleman's 3, so it's still pretty tight at the top of the standings here, Justin.
It's going to be important to be able to try and outscore Yanni. Quite simple as that. Can you find a way to get him out of the race lead? Can you find a way to keep him out of taking that lead back? It's so important to outscore him at this point if you want any chance to close up, especially with what he's done. But it's going to be also difficult with how things could go here today here at Road America.
The start line where the drivers may begin to accelerate is a break in the pit wall on driver's right. That's where they may begin their acceleration. If we were to get any restarts, we're not expecting full course yellows today, but if we were to get one, that is where we'll restart the race as well. The safety car is going to make the right-hand turn onto pit lane. Michael Yanni is in command of the field. Toyota GR Cup North America Esports League, round number 9. There's the acceleration zone, waiting for the green flag to fly now. Yanni, Belleman, the championship leaders on the front row. Green flag, and we're racing at America's National Park of Speed. Yanni gets off to a pretty good start there. Belleman can't quite clear Morgan Burkhardt, so the door's open for the inside row on the run to turn 1 here. Door to door, Burkhardt lunges for second place, and he's got it as they leave the first turn.
Burkhardt might be one of the best opportunities for an upset today. We talked about his opportunities in real life with some of the racing experience he's picked up. Well, he's looking very solid. He's one of the highest I-rating drivers, if you want to go by that metric here in the field after all. And he's raced with a lot of decent organizations in terms of when we've seen him take part in the sim world. Go up to a good start as there's 3 wide as expected by the drivers here.
Nate Stewart trying to make his way to the inside of Russell Soto. Little contact there. Edwin Onofre's in the center of a 3-wide shenazzle here down into turn 5. It's going to get really, really tight contact, and Russell Soto goes for a slide. Everybody scatters here. It's chaos leaving turn 5 on the run up to turn 6.
Cameron Hibbett actually gained a spot from the dodge attempt, still 2 and 3 wide. Yanni Lin, who's in a brand new sim rig, was finishing building the sim rig just before the race today. Barely made the drivers' meeting. Well, his new sim rig's getting put to the paces in the heart of that field. Other drivers just trying to sort out, can they get single followed here? Big crash in front of them.
Oh, where are they? And it's a couple cars off. Edwin Onofre's one of them. Wanshi Lin's the other. And while we were watching the battle go down into turn 8, here's how that formulated. Watch these two as they chase each other into turn 8. Ooh, you see Gardner move left on the brakes, and that's what tangles them, and Wanshi Lin hard in the barrier.
Well, that new sim rig just got its first incident, and it only took a couple minutes. Those drivers going to lose at least 13 seconds to the race leader, unfortunate for them. All because of that, but some drivers like Nate Stewart trying to show the aggression. Of the style of racing, we've seen him be fairly competitive when he's had track position. Doesn't happen today. And you know the tough saying, when you're in amongst a battle pack, it's so hard to break away. It's going to have that difficulty, especially since Stallone seems to be trying to set up an up and under on him.
Oh, really tight into turn 14. It's so important that you get a good run out of here, and Stallone had to lift for a moment. Now we're single file. The first 4 miles of racing is complete. The first 2.5 minutes are complete. Yanni goes defensive immediately at the conclusion of the first lap. Look at Belleman pop out in that white car here, but he has no help from behind.
Yeah, but he's actually outpulling the line for Burkhardt, getting alongside the lead. He was faster by a couple miles an hour down the straightaway with that initial launch to the corner. The tough part is he's going to have to try and make this pass on a line where it's not necessarily easy to make it work from the outside unless you force the driver to the inside to lift, trying to force the squeeze, but Yanni yet again has that ability to get the rumble strips and be able to get the barrel rotation down.
And trouble at, this is turn 2, Charles Wimbley, of course. Let's see if this was, whoop, looks like he just lost power and just ran off the side of the road, so no contact there for the lead. Here comes Belleman past Yanni on the run down to turn 5, change the lead here potentially. Morgan Burkhardt going to try to follow the faster driver through.
That's the thing, if you're able to make it work side by side like Belleman just did, you get that switchback eventually like we just got in the rain sweep. It is difficult to hang around outside like he did for 3-4 corners, but able to make it work to be able to get the leapfrog spot. Now Andre Castro also amongst those able to pick up spots. Michael Polasek has been stuck in quicksand.
Yeah, still P5, P6 been struggling. Oh, contact behind him, and it's Kevin Rold. He's off in the gravel at turn 8, and I think he's got some damage to this car. I think he got turned again on the entry right here. Nate Stewart was up the outside, and that's hard contact into the concrete.
Not sure if there was a movement while braking a little bit to the right, or Nate Stewart was trying to squeeze it at the very edge of the pavement and the curbing. Might have been a mixture of both, and Kevin Rold now going to be dealing with heavy nose damage the rest of the way here in that as penalties start coming through already.
Yeah, that's for Brett Gardner for that contact that we saw in the opening lap. Look at this, 3 wide for the lead into Canada corner. Where'd this come from? Here's Burkhardt down the inside, picks the pocket of Belleman, and here comes Yanni to the outside.
Burkhardt doesn't seem to want to play the patience game today. He wants to lead, now, and this is the exact type of race some people were wondering, were we going to get a whirlwind of a race? In the words of Michael Polasek, it'll be a really good or unmitigated chaos is the way he phrased it. And so far, we're having some really good racing and clean battling. Yanni now still getting a buffer as a result of all that side-by-side. Brandon Hawken really taking advantage of all this to be able to join the fight too.
Look at the momentum getting built there with Burkhardt and Belleman. By the way, Chris Wetz had trouble, I think, at Canada corner. Now the run to turn 1. Here comes a pop out of line from Belleman, but defensive line from Burkhardt keeps that spot. The Canadian Brandon Hawken runs 3rd there in that green and white car on the outside through turn 1 and now to turn 3. Everyone, again, line astern here. This is why we love Road America with these GR86s. The drafting, the racecraft, the overtaking. This place is ripe for it. And now Belleman was leading this race into Canada corner. He's P5 now, almost P6.
A lot of good battling so far, but Belleman, obviously with this not having momentum, now slower than these other two down the straightaway. Polasek going to try and force the issue, force the lift maybe from Belleman, and nobody gives in as Polasek gets it and Castro just tries to cross over. So far, Belleman being forced into tough spots here. That's going to be frustrating.
Yeah, tough math there for sure, but again, all fair racing for the most part around here. 5-second penalty for the 5 car. That is to Nate Stewart, and that was the turn 8 incident that involved, who was that down there at turn 8? Can't remember, actually, who got in the
Kevin Roll.
Kevin Roll, thank you. Paul Darling is in the middle of this field there, the number 55, trying to carve his way through this mess. Look at this off the nose. This is GR86 racing at its best. Look at Hibbett trying to carve his way through the carousel. The 57 to the outside, little contact there.
Yeah, that's because normally you don't expect side-by-side in the first place in the carousel. Paul Darling had the momentum, took away the line from Townend and spooked him up the racetrack. Obviously, in that type of a situation, you've got to be as careful as you can. Even with the loss of momentum, you don't want contact. You're going to have to be very careful when you have to correct in the middle of the right-hander just like that. But the race leaders, even with all the fighting, the top 3 are making it quickly clear. They're breaking off and away because 4th on back has been holding each other back. This whole Hornet's Nest is still fighting hard.
Gravel everywhere leaving turn 12 there. Someone had been off and back on right into the racing line. It was a real mess. Look at all the gravel over here in this section. You see it all littering the racetrack. That's going to reduce the grip at a traction zone. You see it bouncing around there as everyone drives through it. But it'll only take a couple of laps for that to clear up there. They'll get yellow and red flags signifying slippery surface, and they'll carry on.
Yeah, that will affect the grip a little bit, but eventually those marbles should clear their way off the racetrack. But now we're to where cautiousness is now the key amongst the leaders. Stay in the line, work together, plot and plan. We still have less than 8 laps to be able to battle things out. And for Michael Yanni in particular, he's going to be thinking about big picture, trying to plan to make sure there is a major battle. For some of the others like Nate Stewart, outracing the time penalty. And for many of the others, it's just get as many points as you can, many spots. That's a bit of an off-track pushed up town end.
Yeah, a little bit of dirt and off-roading here. Here's Max Stallone again in his first race in the Toyota GR Cup Real World Series at VIR. He was top 10, and he bested that on Sunday with an 8th place, and he's already impressing me to jump. I know he comes from a sim racing background, but immediately to run up near the top 10 in a series as competitive as this one, that is an impressive note. So the PT Autosport team again showing some talent there, but a little bit of contact with Blake Town in tight quarters racing here.
Yeah, just picking up spots one by one. I think for the second race today, he's going to be in a really perfect spot. Cameron Martineau also is picking up a lot of ground, and we've seen how competitive he is. He's a top 10 driver, well-respected sim racer in the community, has raced with STR for a while, and has raced on multiple platforms. One of the nicer guys you can meet, met him in person a few years ago down in Indianapolis for an event. Has been always someone that stays positive, and is always one of the more well-informed drivers you can find on the grid here in this series. Martineau doing a very solid job being able to make up spots after not the best of qualifying runs here today.
Yeah, looking really good there for Martineau, moving up 6 spots early on. The front 3 still broken away. Michael Polasek trying to create that draft bridge back up to those front runners here. It's only a matter of time before they start battling. No teammates in this scrap here. They're all racing against each other, and that will help drivers like Polasek and Castro. So, big slide for Paul Darling leaving Canada corner. I wonder if that had to do with the gravel there. Let's watch again.
Yeah, I think it's because he went in the gravel rather than the gravel that existed. He added some more gravel, why didn't he? Yeah, just overshot the corner, overfloored it, ran into the grass, pick up a 1X, move on. Hope you don't do it again.
Yeah, enough kitty litter to stock a Petco right now, leaving Canada corner. Look at this defensive line running here, led by Camden Hibbett. Josh Soto, we haven't really talked about him a lot today here. Started in the 8th spot. He has gone effectively nowhere. Hold that thought for the lead. It's still nose to tail tight. They were close enough. I thought they were side by side there, Justin, but they seem to be playing the game pretty nicely right now. Burkhardt understands this single make racing very, very well, and so they're going to try to break away from Polasek, but that 45 is running it back down.
I was about to say it's not working, because there's 4 cars in the air pack right now with Polasek, Castro, Bellman, and Hibbett. They've been all working together very well, even though they're not as well hooked up with near bump drafts. Of course, you can't bump draft in this series with the regulations. They've been able to work together very nicely, but you can see this right now with some of the focus when it comes to Burkhardt. Just trying to remain patient as the packs go from 2 converging into 1. Now it's a 7-car group by more than 2 seconds.
Yeah, a couple drivers taking the off-road excursion there, leaving turn 5. It's a rough off-road. Max Stallone has Blake Town into the inside. These two have gone tooth and nail at it, hammer and tong for the last couple laps, haven't they?
Yeah, Stallone is here to have fun. Oh, that's a little bit aggressive near contact. Might have actually touched. They did touch, can confirm, making their way up through turn 7. Townend had to lean on the side of the 26. And right there, touch bit of air, but it's still contact regardless with how close they were going to be. Now they're still battling. Townend not giving a lot of clearance space for Stallone, but it hasn't worked from here before for that orange and black machine for the outside.
Yeah, Cameron Martineau's going to have a great look at this side-by-side into the kink. You can't do that very easily in these cars, but just enough downforce. The 57 had to lift, and here comes Martineau, splitting 3 wide, contact, and they're scattering.
Able to hold on to it though, and that's going to force a huge lift for Martineau. I don't think Cameron likes what he's seen here with all this aggressive battling here, saying, you know what, if you want to risk contact, I'm going to let you guys battle it out, then I'll pick off the spots from there. Aaron Smith able to pick up some spots from that, but my goodness, that got darty very quickly. Off-track situation causes Townend to lose the spot like I was thinking, but right there, massive save in front of the field that wheel had to be snapped fully to the right for a split second to make sure it didn't snap to the left and then ricochet off the wall.
Race control's busy right now. There's a notification about the 24 and the 7 leaving the racetrack. That's Nick Yanni and Josh Soto to gain an advantage lap 5, turn 5. That was the cars that we saw off course. Here's the battle for third place. Morgan Burkhardt, or fourth place rather. Actually, this is what's happening here. So we've got Hawken leading the way. We've traded some positions up here, haven't we? The 98th leading now.
Well, that's just started in the past lap or so, I think in particular. Remember, the pack's converging, and that's kind of lifted the urgency. It's gone from a patience game to this isn't working, we've got to go. In particular, Polasek squeezing Burkhardt into the grass. Really wants to try and squeeze Burkhardt to a lifting point. He's got that preferred line coming out of the Marine sweep to make the pass. It's going to be the matter, though, of can he slip his way into third into the draft train? Answer is, might be able to do it if he forces the 67 to lift. And the thing is, Burkhardt has made it clear he wants to battle. He does not want to just give up and wait.
No, and he's not running for a championship. He's just here for race wins. And that's going to frustrate drivers like Thomas Belleman, who have a gap to make up on Michael Yanni to have a shot at this championship. You cannot afford this late in the season to finish behind the driver in that number 23. You've got to start beating him there. A little contact there, and Burkhardt's going to get muscled off track by the 45. Here comes Hibbett to the outside, who started much deeper in the field, and Belleman has a roadblock ahead of him.
What happens when there's close quarters racing like that, especially when you have to squeeze to be able to make that one line in the corner. Belleman did a really good job to be able to close back up with the rest of those group mates, but here's the thing. If they don't sort themselves out very quickly, they're going to have to reset again, and I'm not sure how much time they're going to be able to get to close up. In particular, 4 laps to go estimated, and already the top 2 have pulled away nearly a full second here. They're going to have to work fast, break a little bit deeper, try and hold on to that draft if they want a chance on Hawken and Gianni.
Brian Hawken, the Canadian, the number 98, leading the way here. Nate Stewart has trouble off in Canada corner. He's gone for a little ride. Here's how that happened. Goes off the bumper of the 57, and he went for a little trip through the gravel.
A lot of argy-barginess with Blake Townend here today to see the release. Great save by Stewart to keep it out of the wall. But with the 5-second time penalty also factored in for the 5 machine, not going to be a good day in the official standings for him. Townend, meanwhile, has kind of gone to war just to be able to hold on to spots here. It's getting ugly for his spot for the race lead, though. It's getting pretty for Yanni.
Here comes Yanni to the top spot. Made that one look pretty easy relative to how hard they've been to get the last couple of times around, but Michael Yanni, the points leader, goes to the point of the race. Camden Hibbett pops out of line on Morgan Burkhardt there. And you mentioned the 57. Well, race control has also noted that the 5 of the 57 had their contact, and that is now under investigation. Finney Nakuna working very, very hard behind the scenes right now to keep the racing under control when it gets so physical and so hip and shoulder here. And we're going back for the lead again, this time Hawken to the outside.
Yeah, they're getting very archy-barchy here for the race lead. Yanni proving you can stay side by side for a while, but if you can stay clear by the time you get to the exit of the ring, sweep up through 5, you're able to clear on by. Now it's the matter of looking to see who else joins this fight, especially since Polasek, who looked to have a shot for the race lead a couple laps ago, he's now being forced to go side by side with Hibbett. It's so easy to go back. So many cars in this line if you don't play your cards right with the lane choices in these battles right now, and that's been proven all race long.
Yeah, he was actually in position to take the lead into turn 5. He was right behind the 2 race leaders, and he went from 3rd to 6th in half a lap. That's how sensitive things are. Just waiting for him to get back on throttle. There he is now, shifting the weight back to the rear of the car, digging out of turn 10 and heading into the kink there. But Polasek easily ran away with the championship in the tail half of this year, but the whole level of this championship has just raised that much, and is now putting the front-running car from 2024 down to 6th. Look at this crossover there on Camden Hibbett, trying to spook the driver of the 32 into Canada corner, and for the lead, it's going to be double wide again. Castro to the point.
The Racing Association driver tried to squeeze out. Good send in the first place to make the Elcom brake stick and those Continentals grip up in the corner. Yet again, though, Yanni is much better and turns that momentum, is so poised in these types of fights with the way these races go, now with just a few minutes to go on the clock, it's going to be the matter of who's going to get the next shot. Polasek is getting uber aggressive with the blocks now.
Yeah, and Bellarmine isn't going to push him, so they're going to be 3 across here. This is not going to gain them a lot of time on the straightaway. Now Bellarmine is forced to get in behind the 45. Yanni goes behind, actually ahead of Castro, and covers him off here. Look at Castro side drafting up the front straightaway, pulls even, and is he going to lunge later on the brakes? He tried to, but Yanni just that much deeper.
Some of those drivers had to start pressing the apology buttons in that moment. Now it's going to be, can Hawken regain second? The Movado driver has been very good all race long. He's been composed. We've talked about him with speed. He was one of my drivers in the championship conversation early on. Now he's fallen a bit back in points, but doing a great job. Some more squeezes again, though. This time Castro on Burkhardt. Burkhardt making it clear you can just slot your way in, keep it careful, keep it calm, and just figure out if you're able to get back in line without losing spots by the time you get out to the corner exit, unlike those that are losing spots in the side-by-side with Sandtrap.
Yeah, Polasek back to 7th place now, and he just had a real big lateral slide leaving turn 5. And here's Bellarmine. These two drivers 2nd and 3rd in the championship, and they're you can just tell that they're a little bit ragged because they're pushing so hard. And I think the difference is they can find the speed, but Yanni just looks so composed behind the wheel right now. I mean, we talked about how Yanni sometimes looks almost just clinical, and here he is right now leading this race, just absolutely relaxed. And here's Brandon Hawken, just for reference. Look how focused, laser visioned he is, chasing that 23 down right now. Just the difference in approach, emotionally, mentally, physically, is fascinating to watch.
Yeah, you can see him kind of, at this point, uber focused, because this is one of his best chances to be able to get a win right here. Hawken has been close a couple times this season, 5 top 5s after all. But errors like Bellarmine have the popcorn seat because things are heating up on front. 2 by 2, yet again, near contact as Bellarmine has a calm, but Castro takes the lead.
Yeah, watch this again. This is going down into Canacor. Watch the 45 car here. Gets into the back of the 7. Big lateral slip and gathered it up very quickly. I'm impressed by that, but again, side by side for 3rd here. Burkhardt wants back in.
Now needs to find a hole, and the problem is they're not forming up quickly. Hibbett, at the very least, going to say, you know what, you're fast, I'm going to work with you. For the get back into the choo-choo train effect. About 2 estimated laps to go as things are getting close to the end here. If you want a chance, you've got to go quickly. And Yanni wants to force it side by side for the half lap again. Couldn't make it stick this time.
Yeah, it's going to get really racy here now. As soon as we see that white flag flying, any team alliance you have, any sort of friendships you built along the way, they go out the window. I mean, you go to preschool, right, and you're just learning how to make friends. It's like the first half of this race. And then you get to middle school, and everybody's your enemy. And that's what this last lap's going to feel like. And it's going to feel like it takes 3 or 4 years to get through this last lap, even though it'll only be about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Look at the chaos in the backstretch as we go 2 and 3 wide here. Polasek trying to carve his way through.
He's had a hard time since he got forced back from the chance for the race lead here to make moves.
Ooh.
Looks like you see a chance to say, oh, it's free real estate. I'll go deeper in the brakes, try it, why not? I don't think it really worked, though, to be able to really leapfrog ahead like he was hoping. They're battling more so harder for second than they are for the lead. This is great for Castro a little bit to build a buffer. He's up by 3-4 car lengths now.
Look at Camden Hibbett into this conversation. 15th is where the 32 car started. He's now 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. Depends on which moment you look at it. But Hawken is going to clear him. The 32 slides, and he slides out of control and into the barrier hard. And Camden Hibbett, his race is over.
My goodness, is all you can really say. Was in a really good spot. He's trying to keep it side by side. I think he dropped the tire to the right side. Watch this right here. Comes out of the corner exit, drops the tire to the sand, causes him to lose grip, overcorrects, and into the barrier. And he'll have to reset for the race. Just going to try and finish as high as he can to get a decent starting spot now. But these leaders are getting, again, majorly defensive. Bellarmine, He's lost touch with the race leaders for a true shot to be able to have the race lead, but he surely can try and stop the bleeding here.
A couple of the PT Autosport cars really in the mix here. Max Stallone matching his best finish in the real world Toyota GR Cup Series. If he can stay P8, he might even get 7th place here if he can muscle on by the one like his teammate Nick Yanni. So a little bit of cooperation here as the rest of the field heads up the front straightaway. Andre Castro leads, but he is definitely on defense here to come up over the crest. Here's the white flag. 4 miles left, Justin, in the Toyota GR Cup North America Esports League race 9 of the season. Oh, look at this, 3 wide, squeezing with Josh Soto on the inside.
Oh, they're racing uberly hard once again for this second pack. But the race leaders, here we go. Hawken on the outside. Oh, and Castro lost grip. Couldn't hold on to it, but used Hawken as a balancing board. They're lucky there's no major contact. 3 wide again.
And Yanni's going to clear him. Picks the pocket of both, but he's going to slip wide. Here comes Castro on corner exit, and Burkhardt's going to have a run. 2 by 2, pushing and shoving on the Moraine sweep here down to turn 5. It'll be a braking duel there. Who's going to come out the other side of this lap as a winner in Toyota GR Cup North America Esports?
Could go either way with how turn 5's gone. For the most part, it's been whoever's on the inside clears. Yanni's in a great spot to do that. Deeper brakes to ensure that forces the lift by Castro on the braking mark. Nicely planned once again to get that done. And now it's going to be a matter of can Hawken find a way, or anybody else, get alongside, force a lift from Yanni by Canada corner.
Yeah, it's going to have to happen there. I don't know that you have enough draft in these cars to make a run leaving turn 14, but they need to stay line astern here. I don't think that they can make big sends into turn 8 on each other. They have to work together if they want to beat the championship leader. Yanni leads by 5 car lengths into the carousel for the final time.
I don't know if they're close enough to make a true lunge at this point. They need to close up rapidly. Yanni's played this very well. He's been so stellar all season long when it comes to his defense, when it comes to his ability to hold off the pack with how composed in that situation he's been. Now it's going to be the matter of, can he hold off this major draft that Hawken's getting? Here we go.
Into turn 12. Clock is out. We're coming back to a checkers. Hawken on the outside at turn 12. That's a tough corner to make things stick, but he's going to have a run here, and it's side by side for the race lead. Coming up through Billy Mitchell Bend. They're mirror to mirror. Andre Castro wants to pick the pocket of somebody. Hawken to the lead with 1 corner to go. Can Yanni set it up the inside of turn 14? A touch there. Here they come for 3rd place. They're banging fenders too. Brandon Hawken clears Yanni in the final moments, and up the hill now. He's going to have to defend. Coming to the checkers. Does Yanni have enough? Maybe a push from Castro. Checkered in the air, and race 1 of round 5 is going to go all the way to the end, and it's Brandon Hawken that wins it.
Brandon Hawken played that near perfectly with the run, and as said, it was all about setting it up for Canada corner. If you want any true shot, he built up a massive boost with the slipstream and took away Yanni's preferred line. That's been able to get single file for Bill Mitchell Bend. Nicely done by car 98.
Watch this finish here coming across the line as well for this group. This was for about 13th, 14th, 15th. A couple thousandths separating that group across the stripe. Unbelievable. What a race. And before we lose the results, let's have a look at them here. That was fun. We get to do it all over again.
Yeah, Brandon Hawken, nicely done as we talked about, but drivers like Yanni keeping it close. Good points day for the first race. Andre Castro, here's the most significant part, I think, in those standings, though. If you jump all the way to 10th, Thomas Bellman, not what he needed for championship points, Kyle. He loses a lot of ground behind Polasek, Burkhardt, Soto, Darling, Nick Yanni, Stallone. That is a huge swing when you think about it with the point scale.
Yeah, it's not going to help them a lot, is it? Now they're going to have to do it again in race number 2, and starting from 10th spot as well. It's going to be a big deal to drive through the field. Now, we did see Camden Hibbett do that, but we also saw him end up in the tire bundles and crash. Ended up P30 after all of that. So Camden Hibbett will start 30th place. Brendan Hawken, though, will start on pole for race number 2 here in just a couple minutes time. We have a few minutes to kind of go over some replays and watch some of the action from race 1. Going back, look at this muscling fight here between Camden Hibbett and, well, we're going to lose it there for just a moment. We'll bring it back here for you. Look at this. This is turn 6 between Hawken and Hibbett. This was a really tight squeeze as they went into turn 7. There was a little bit of a touch here. And Justin, it's just so hands-on between these drivers.
Yeah, especially since you have to make sure you don't get target fixation, you don't get into a spot where you're so focused on the position that you lose the opportunity. In this case, it was Hibbett just trying to keep alongside so hard, dropped the tire, and as said, once he kicked it off in the sand, just lost traction in that situation. That kind of really kicked things off. You also have a bit of argy-barginess with some contact here with drivers like Polasek trying to get the squeeze, trying to set up some opportunities. You're blinking the lights as they block their way down the straight.
And this was the run up to the checkered flag here. 98 thousandths of a second was the winning margin here for race 1 of 2. And just Michael Yanni, once he lost that lead, he didn't have enough of a run. And we talked about how these cars don't have the biggest drafting effect here. Just enough that you can make a slingshot pass into some of those heavier corners, but you can't just draft by everyone leaving turn 14 like you can in some other series. So you have to plot it, you have to plan it, and Michael Yanni lost that lead in an inopportune time. Might we mention also that Brendan Hawken made that move on the outside into Canada corner. I didn't think that was possible, but he proved me wrong.
I mean, the reason I thought it was possible is because Michael Yanni did that exact move earlier in the race, where he went to the outside, side by side, and with the send side by side, was able to make it stick, and you have to clear it coming out of Thunder Alley into Bill Mitchell Bend. So for the most part, I thought it was possible just because so many drivers have found the traction today to keep it side by side and keep it, especially on the outer grooves there on the squeeze out. It's just the tough part of actually getting clear to be able to complete the pass. That's been a big thing for a lot of drivers today, and when they can't clear by, we see what happened to Bellman, to Polasek. You just drop like a lead balloon into the heart of the pack.
Well, we saw a lot of battling side by side in race 1, a little bit of contact, some shuffling, a couple of penalties, but honestly, a lot of warnings for car contact. Finian's hard at work in race control right now. What did we learn about race number 2? We had a pack of 6, 7, 8 cars coming to the checkers. Where do you place yourself? Because it seemed like it was a revolving door at the front of the field that entire last 4 miles.
Well, where I would place myself, to be honest with you, that's still up for grabs, because my thought was originally place yourself in a position to be the inside for the run through the Marine sweep up to turn 5, and you're good from there. But if you get too big of an advantage because they're still side by side, let's say, like we just seen for the race lead, you lose so much ground. So in other words, I think if you're in the attacking spots, you have to be in second. Third's not going to get the job done if you have to get a slipstream done or make a side by side. You'll end up getting forced into a battle instead. I think to get the job done, it will come down to taking that inside away for turn 5, or getting a side by side and making the speed work and forcing a lift off in Canada corner for the time you get to Bill Mitchell Bend, where you'll really set things up for the final corner.
Wan Chi Lin, one of the drivers that will be looking for a bit of a rebound here in race 2 of this weekend out of Schenectady, New York, and we saw him crashed on the opening lap last race. That was one of the penalties that we saw for Brett Gardner. Just got on the brakes a little too hard. The car kind of shot to the left and knocked Wan Chi Lin into the concrete along with a couple other drivers. So he'll have to go again here, just getting a little bit of a warm-up here. You only get a couple minutes to get re-warmed up here. It should also note that the humidity has raised quite a bit. The track temp has gone down about 20 degrees. It's 95% humidity out here, so that's why it's kind of foggy looking, Justin. It's not really going to impact a whole lot, but the track temperature being down a couple degrees is going to make the tires last a little longer, so we shouldn't have to worry so much that about overheating your virtual Continentals. You'll keep them in a better range for longer.
Yeah, it will definitely help in terms of the grip balance that we've seen a lot of drivers have to deal with here in the season, where if you push too hard, you're going to struggle in terms of the end of the race. I think these temperatures going to keep these Continentals nice and decently in their temperature range. Have some more battling, but I think it's more so about the track positioning. I'm more so interested about the weather conditions here. It is near 100% humidity here, and that might impact some of the straight line speed with how humid it is and how hot the air temperature may feel in terms of how bogged down it may get trying to get the power here.
Remember that we simulate the whole duration of a real-world Toyota GR Cup weekend, so race 1 we just did at about 4:45 in the afternoon. That simulates our Saturday race that we'll see next weekend at Road America in the real world. But now it's just after 10 a.m. on what would be a Sunday. So again, we simulate race 1 at the tail end of Saturday, race 2 at the beginning of Sunday. It changes the weather conditions just like the real world. It's one of the great things we have here about iRacing is we can simulate basically everything, not only the format but the weather as well. Time to head down to the grid here. We have 1 minute to get the drivers on the grid and another full pace lap here to warm up those virtual Continentals and go for another 25 minutes, Justin. So we're gridding this race by the results of race 1. That puts Brendan Hawken on pole. I don't know that there's a lot to take away from the start of this race. It seemed like for the first 15 minutes, everyone was on the same page, Justin, drafting line astern, no one really getting aggressive. But once you dangle that carrot, that white flag, game on.
Yeah, once that white flag gets in that position in the air, it's the matter of can you find yourself personally in position to go? And that's the major thing, I think, in my opinion, is with these drivers, it's been so difficult to set up the right move because you can go side by side. In so many cases here, we've seen the cars make it work here in the sim. But the tough thing about that is if you're in the wrong lane choice at the wrong time and you make any mistake, it's magnified by everybody else that's in the battle pack here. So the field already is gridded up. It's just going to be the matter of who's going to be in the right spots in the rotation to be able to go for the race win here in race 2.
Well, the grid's on the left-hand side of your screen. On the front row, it's Brendan Hawken in the number 98, the green and white Sucker Punch car. Then it's Michael Yanni, championship leader, on the outside of the front row. Then Andre Castro, Michael Polasek, 3rd and 4th. Morgan Burkhardt in 5th place alongside Josh Soto. Then Paul Darling quietly in the mix there in that number 55 in 7th. And Nick Yanni in 8th. Max Stallone almost repeating his real-world results. He had a 10th and an 8th at VIR in the real-world series. His first round here in the eSports world in iRacing. That was P9 in the 26th. And Thomas Belleman, 2nd and current runner-up in the championship, P10 for the start of this race. And Justin, to your point, that was, a 10th place for a lot of these drivers is great. You're in the points. You get a point, but that's catastrophic as far as the championship is concerned. He needs to beat that leading driver Michael Yanni by a number of positions if he wants any chance to win this title.
Exactly, he needs Yanni to have the worst luck possible almost in terms of having an opportunity here. Bellman, this point, needs to win. He needs to get his way through all this traffic. He needs to get to the front of the field. He needs to take the checker flag. He needs Yanni to not score any points in this race. I don't know if that combination is possible just because Yanni's had nothing go wrong all season long and has been able to withstand a lot of attacks. Bellman needs to be aggressive here, and drivers like Stallone, they're just here to have some fun, and I think now that he's got some decent track position, wouldn't be surprised if he sticks in this lead pack for the duration of this race as long as he plays things right.
One of the things I like about Max Stallone, you see the virtual reality goggles on there. He can see his world in 3D space. That helps a lot in these tight drafting scenarios, Justin, when you need to understand exactly how far the car is ahead of you. Not using a screen, not using monitors. He is able to look around and interact with his world in 3D space. That helps a lot. There's a couple of drivers that are using virtual reality here today to advance themselves forward. Just some of the cool technology you can use in the simulated environment. As we make our way around halfway around Road America, next time by, we'll get the green flag for another 25-minute, 10-lap race here at America's National Park of Speed. So if you're Brendan Hawken, I think that was the first race he's won all season by nothing.
It was.
So
he was in contention at VIR, a 2nd place, believe there. But the thing is, he's been close so many times. I thought it was a matter of when, not if, he was able to get the victory lane. So now it's the matter of can he get a weekend sweep and put himself in the conversation for the top 3?
Yeah, looking at his results, you pointed out VIR 2nd and 3rd there, all on the podium. And looking back at Sebring, that was the only time that he finished outside the top 10. He had a 16th place there. Every other race, he's been top 10. Most of them, he's been top 5. So it's been a very impressive, consistent year for Hawken. He's P4 in the championship standings. That'll help a lot. He came in with 73 points. That's just about half of what the championship leader had. But remember that we're just past the halfway point, so his advance up onto the podium for the season is not unheard of. And remember, there's cash prizes on the line for those in the front of the championship and in the front of these races. So he's a couple $100 richer now and hoping to be maybe a couple $1,000 richer by the end of the season. Pace car makes its way through turn 14. Hawken and Yanni on the front row. And the pit lane is empty for now, but it will be joined by the iRacing safety car. And this long run up the front straightaway, waiting for the green flag from Barney the flagman here at iRacing. Time to go for race number 2, round 5 of the season for Toyota GR Cup North America eSports League from Road America, America's National Park of Speed. Green flag, and we're underway at Road America again. Nice launch from Hawken there on the inside. Big push from Andre Castro, who was in the conversation all last race. But a 2 wide. Nice orderly start down here. Can we get through turn 1 without calamity? We did last time around, and we will, it seems, this time around as well.
Yeah, nice and clean to begin things, as you would expect. Expect the Archie Barges to pick up by the Marine sweep, I would think, though, for these drivers. First side-by-side really is Polasek trying to make a move on Yanni, the leaders, keeping nice and conservative to begin this run as they just try and have a clean run. The rest of the field trying to pick up places at the back.
Into turn 5, Hawken leads pretty comfortably. Here comes one of the PT Autosport cars. That was, which car was that at my orders? That's Michael Yanni in the 23. And they're 3 abreast down there into turn 5. 57 and Townend again, getting shouldered a little bit, this time by Cameron Martineau. Those two have been side by side plenty in this race, haven't they? That orange Sim Sport car and the ST Racing red, gray, and white car there.
Townend's been side by side in general a whole lot this race. Been having to get his elbows out several times over. Of course, has been in the eye of the storms. But he's going to have to make sure there's no major issues in terms of the Archie Barges the rest of the way here without risking a penalty. Burkhardt, meanwhile, has lost a lot of ground. The top 4 have started to check out, and Josh Soto is now joining the conversation. He's been battling in the top 10 all season. The Academy Sim Racing car looking very focused today. We know Soto's got speed. He's working hard to try and close this draft up.
Ooh, a little bit tight there into Canada corner. I thought that maybe the 55 of Paul Darling would get into him, but he did not. It's a nice fair racing there between those two. Tidy first lap. Finian in race control is going to like that so far. Hawken leads over Castro. But again, the intensity of this race climbs the further on we go. Whoa, big ride through the gravel trap for Josh Soto. We're going to look at that one on the replay.
Yeah, Soto going to lose spots from that. Get a whole lot of ground on the left side of the racetrack, put him off of the traction. That's what I talked about. It's so easy for drivers to just push off and clip into a 1X. That part of the circuit down to Road America straight. Now that's really solidifying the top 4 breakaway. That's featuring Hawken, Castro, Yanni, and Polasek just remaining patient and not trying to race hard like it was earlier when Burkhardt was in the pack.
On board now with Michael Polasek. They leave turn 3 again. He's just been, again, so dominant last year. And this year came into this championship hoping and expecting to continue his domination. And he's been in the mix all year long, but just can't quite seem to be the dominant car every round like he was last year. And he's just nipping at the heels of these front runners here, Castro, Hawken, and Yanni, in this weekend's event. So I know that he would like to get his elbows out, be a little more aggressive, and we might see that here. Opportunity with Hawken sliding wide at turn 5, but again, nowhere to go with Yanni in the way.
So far, Yanni's been playing his cards well all weekend long. Just trying to pick his spots. Castro getting a little bit too far out with this battling, but the main thing I'm keeping an eye on for this in particular is what drivers like Polasek are going to be able to do this run, especially after being put on the back foot before. Lots of gravel being kicked up at that part of the racetrack, but all that battling by those drivers just allowed everybody else to creep back on up, in that 1 second, 2 second nearly picked up is already gone.
There's a ton of gravel there leaving turn 8 into the carousel at turn 9. That's a pretty single groove area of the racetrack. You don't necessarily want to have gravel on the racing line through there. But, whoa, car off in. Kevin rolled at the kink and avoided hitting the fence, but that was about as far off you can go at the kink and not. Ooh, contact on the entry there. Sent him for a ride. Oh, man.
Yeah, no one appreciates Doring through kettle bottoms, to say the very least. Really close to the wall. Any late motion, any later reaction to the steering wheel, that would have been probably a 2x in incident points and a damaged suspension.
That was a nice save. Keeps the car pointed the right direction and lives to fight another day. Mauricio Lozano, whoops, a couple other cars going off course there. That was Kevin rolled again this time. Going for a little slip and slide. And he has to give up some time in the slowdown here.
I think we might have some bad news for Maxwell Stallone. He just hit some technical issues, had been running up towards the front. Believe he just lost connection to the sim. It's Castro saying, what's a 1X? Who cares about grass? Grass is pavement, is it not? He ends up losing a little bit of ground, but he is pushing for all it's worth, especially since these drivers behind him are going to get a massive bit of slipstream in the next few moments.
Yeah, he's a little too far ahead, 0.4 of a second. You need to either break the draft entirely or stay within a certain zone, because drivers like Hawken and Polasek, they can just slipstream right on by. Here comes Polasek in the 45. He does not want to be denied again. And looking at the season for Polasek, has yet to win a race. And how many times has he been close? A number of times. Finished second 3 times and has a third, a fourth, 2 fourths, and a 5th. So he is hungry.
At this point, Polasek is just trying to get on he can in terms of podiums and wins, especially since it's farther back in the championship. Still needs to score great points to get that good points finish in general. But Bellman, he hasn't been able to do what he's needed to do this race, Kyle, where he has to be up front, has to be leading laps, has to be winning the race with Yanni marred back in traffic. It hasn't gone his way in the first 7 minutes so far. In fact, he's still 4 or 5 spots behind Yanni in the running order with how things are going.
Yeah, needs to make up some points. Here the rumble strips ripping there at the exit of the kink, just flying through the trees here on the back end of the course. This is a magical section of racetrack to walk or be on a golf cart in, but when you're flying through here at 130 miles an hour, you don't have a lot of time to take in the sights and sounds of America's National Park of Speed. And whoop, trouble for Aaron Smith, and he's off at Canada Corner, way off track in the gravel.
Yeah, way off. Not sure if there was contact or not. Let's see. Answer is...
Oh, don't just
he
bailed out.
Dodged contact. Yeah, went too deep in the brakes, went to dodge the contact.
And did a nice job doing that, but in the process lost a lot of time. And, a little racy back here. We haven't talked a ton about Ed Onofre in the number 96. Another one of our drivers that has actually come out to an SRO event. He was at Circuit of the Americas earlier this year out of Garland, Texas, the 24-year-old. Scrapping here at Road America now with Anthony Montello, Tadas Lutkus, Major Monsivice, and more.
Decent job so far in this race. Up a couple spots from his starting spot from race 1, his finishing order. He's done decently, hasn't been in too many incidents. He's just been having fun. And that's the goal in a series like this, on top of course getting the prize pool, is, you know, have a bit of fun, be able to race things out, be competitive, and he's been competitively amongst those in the top 20. That race lead fight, it's starting to go ding, 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 and a ring to ding, ding goes Yanni to the outside.
Yeah, I was just giggling a little bit. I was like, someone's got to remind these drivers at the front, this is supposed to be fun. To your point, they are racing so hard right now. And yeah, the ding-dong ditch is Andre Castro. He just wants to get out of Dodge here. And look at Morgan Burkhardt again, quietly lingering in this conversation. I mentioned he's got real-world GT4 experience, but he comes from a sim racing background, and he has just been nagging at these championship runners. He's not here to earn points. He does not care about point standings. All he cares about is getting the cash prize and getting up on the top step of the podium for the second race.
see how laser focused he is right now to be able to try and pick off these spots. Just try to work his way through all this traffic. We know he doesn't like to wait too long for things to develop with how things have gone so far. See that opportunity build up for the race lead, for example. He takes his chance saying, if we're gonna go side by side, I'll go side by side.
Yeah, 2 by 2. Noah's Ark down into Canada corner. This is gonna get tight here on exit, and look who's back in the conversation now for the top 5, Thomas Belleman. And it's gonna be tough to earn back the points that he lost in race 1 if Yanni finishes top 5, but if things get really spicy, and we've seen that happen here in years past, he could vault himself out of here with an advantage, but he needs Yanni to get knocked off course, and that is likely given how aggressive we've seen the racing be, but they've managed to keep everyone pointed the right direction so far.
And no crashes or anything in the lead pack here today outside of Cameron Hibbett's incident. But now for the lead, Castro getting the push. Yanni not as centered of pushes. I don't think they're not supposed to bump draft, mind you. They might get that looked at there.
Yeah, again, so you can do one little push, but you can't block bumpers. So again, one little push from the rear and you get off immediately, that's okay. But as soon as you start to lock bumpers, that's a real World Series rule as well. And that's to prevent drivers from sort of doing the old NASCAR style of drafting where you kind of do the two-car tango, they called it. There is an advantage to doing that, and it is extremely risky. And in the real world, to prevent drivers from wadding up cars on these big, long straights, they've disallowed that. Same is true here in this series. But you can give a momentary shot, but you can't lock those front and rear bumpers together. Here comes Belleman up the outside on the brakes late, P3 right now, and Morgan Burkhardt up the inside of Andre Castro, but couldn't hold the overlap.
And race control just gave a verbal warning to all those drivers that just did that there. Burkhardt able to slip his way on through, no issue. But we still have about 5 estimated laps to go. Still about half the race to work with. Here in this one, Belleman finally able to find some ground. It has made his way in front of the 23. There's step 1. Now step 2 is get to the point and get to the lead fast.
Slightly older penalty here, but the 57 has a 5-second penalty for contact at lap 3, turn 9. And another notification to your point, you mentioned it a moment ago, all cars in the top 8, warning, bump drafting. So that is a warning to basically everybody. You don't get warnings across the field like that very much. Look at Hawken trying to hang tough on the outside of the kink. That won't work. He's in the grass at 108 miles an hour through the kink. And he's going to be under fire here from Polasek. Contact and crash on the back straightaway. Everybody scatters. This is going to be a big one. And Paul Darling's out of the race. And so is Michael Polasek.
And they're not going to be happy. Polasek, quite simply, I think, just tried to cut to the right so he didn't have to lift, and overjudged how big the gap was forming up between him, Darling, and Hawken. It's a matter of, do you lift and cost yourself the momentum or not? Ooh. In this case, he decided not to take the momentum, cuts too hard right, and they get glued together.
Yeah, that is an ugly one for sure. And that's going to end Paul Darling's day. Unfortunately, here comes Thomas Belleman to the lead. This is on the, where are we? On the front straightaway. Coming back 12 minutes to go. The race is half complete. Headlights flashing up and down the field.
A lot of Archie is still forming up here. I think in all of that too, Joshua Soto picked up some damage for the race lead though. Belleman tried it from the outside. We've seen how effective staying from the outside has worked here today. Going to have to switch it up, change the line, has the draft help. If he's able to get the braking done right out of the marine sweep, he's going to get this done pretty well.
Michael Yanni sitting on the outside here, nowhere for him to go. Trapped behind Belleman in front, and Castro to the left. And ooh, watch the contact down here into 5. They've kept it clean so far. By the way, 10-second penalty. This is salt in the wound for the 45. Michael Polasek for that contact with Paul Darling. So not only did he lose spots, damage the car, he'll also pick up, or end up on the Santa's naughty list there in August. So things are not looking good for Christmas tree later this year. Carried that probably a little too far, but anyway, down into turn 8. Yeah. Belleman, Castro still side by side for the lead.
Not sure where the metaphor was going, but I will say that this for Polasek's championship cases that absolutely decimates them. But the second race going to be way far behind. It's going to require a miracle to get that spot. Speaking of spots, Burkhardt driving the outside of the carousel, couldn't make it stick to keep it alongside to maybe try something on Bellman. And I think the field tried to reset. You know who's joined this pack though? Lake Townend's joined. The leaders are fighting. And Townend's going to be amongst those going to get a chance to watch as Bellman takes the point.
Bellman's got it. Here comes that 57, the orange and black car in the background. Looking for fourth, looking for third. And look at this, 2x2 again, 10 minutes to go. Be about 4 laps remaining when we cross the stripe. There is just gravel littered everywhere. Big curb hop for Morgan Burkhardt. Had both those left side Continentals airborne there. And down into turn 14, little contact with Castro, but gives Bellman a 4/10 of a second advantage. They climb up the front straight again.
It's going to be the reset to try and build up all that draft. Townend, he was getting all the elbows out, was in the teens by the end of the first race. He's picked up plenty of spots, up 7 with how crafty he's been in this pack. Ooh. Oh, got leaned on again. Castro forcing him to lift, had a bit of contact to the 1.
Yeah, look out. A little bit of contact from the 24, and Nicchiani, the PT Autosport car as well there. That was almost bad. And as quickly as he was to third, he's back to 5th. That's how quickly things can shift and shuffle here. A little bit of contact leaving turn 3. Anthony Montello had an issue in turn 1. He's going to pull off and call it a quit. And that was contact there with, Nick Sudik. That was a hard hit there at the exit of the front, end of the front straightaway.
A little bit of aggression building up once again in that situation. Tough one. And now, the rest of the field has to race along. Montello has indeed parked it down as a result of that contact. Castro still has not been able to sort things out. No one really yet. Yanni getting boxed in here as Bellman is having a decent recovery race now that he's found his way to the point with all this battling going on in the pack.
Yeah, we should have known that this was going to just chew you up and spit you out. Our race winner from race 1, Brandon Hawken, battling for 6th right now. So just up and down the order, left and right.
Yeah, this is the major thing that we've seen all day long, though, is everyone's able to get side by side and keep it alongside. And areas where you think, oh, they're not going to keep it there. They're not going to keep it there in single file. No, they've been able to make it stick. That's how well these drivers have handled things, and those Continentals have had a good amount of grip in race 2 especially as well to make sure these drivers stay planted on the racetrack and are able to have that durability to keep sustained on that racetrack.
Yeah, we've noted even in the Real World Series this year that, you know, we talk about passing zones, the traditional places that you would overtake and make a move on somebody. They almost don't apply in a Toyota GR86 Cup car because you can race them everywhere. They've got good cornering grip, but they're just dynamic enough that a little bit of a mistake opens up the corner for everybody to jump on top of you. So it's a really fun race car to watch. We saw VIR in the Real World Series be one of the most exciting races of the year, and if this is any indication, you better tune into GT World next week, next Saturday and Sunday, to watch rounds 9 and 10 of the Real World Series. Unfortunately, I won't be there for this one round, but I'll be back at Barber. And Tadas Lipkis has had trouble as we're going to quickly pull away from this lead fight, and that is terminal damage for the 727 out of turn 14.
Left side tire dragging, and yeah, that'll do it. Slide off the grass. Let's see here, just quite simply, ran way too wide, and the bumps just carried him around on the suspension. Couldn't stay planted, hit a huge bump coming out of the sand trap, snapped him left, and now he's going to drag that left front tire to his pit stall.
Yeah, all the way down pit lane here. It's a long, long pit road. For 6th place, it's a hornet's nest still. Blake Townend, the lead B in this fight, and they're just losing ground with Michael Yanni up the road, who's 4th. It's a little bit quiet at the lead right now, but we're coming to 2 laps to go next time by, so I'm expecting the energy to start picking up.
I think the energy has not been as high as the last race, interesting enough. It's been a little bit more calmer for some parts. I say that as Brandon Hawkins nearly bumped off the racetrack by Townend trying to clear himself. But I will say it's not been as much side by side with the race lead. It's not been as much terms of uber aggressiveness on the side-by-side in most cases. That's allowed drivers like Nate Stewart to just naturally drive their way on by as Hawken clips the sand. Nate Stewart's had a bit of a rough one with the time penalty in race 1. Race 2 has been a much better one for the Farm.
Yeah, P16 to P6, so 10 positions up the board for Nate Stewart. Things are looking good for the Simrap Market car. Just listen to how on throttle. I mean, it's flat to the floor for 30 seconds plus. If you go here next week, if you're in the Wisconsin area, get your tickets to GT Road America. Go stand over there by Canada Corner. Hear these things ripping down the straightaway for the lead. Here comes Morgan Burkhardt. Takes it easily from Belleman with 5 minutes left on the clock.
Nicely done to be able to slip on by. We talked about being a threat for the win all day long. Well, he's trying to make sure of that. Now it's going to be the matter of thing of, can he defend for 2 laps? I don't know if you want to be the leader per se this late, just because of how big some of the draft is, especially when you make a mistake like that. That's opening up the door easily for Belleman.
Yeah, and again, the car I'm watching isn't Belleman, it's not Castro, it's the 4th car in line, Michael Yanni, because he has been inevitable this year. And as they climb up the front straightaway, they're going to get 2 laps to go. And the front 4 are broken away, and look at this mess from 5th on back. It's still Townend, Hawkins, Soto, Stewart, Martineau, Nick Yanni, Russell Soto's in this mix. And it's, all right, someone lit the fuse here. Oh, it's tight. Look at the 67 getting shoved to the edge of the road.
Well, it is time to go. You only have 5 minutes to work with, only a couple laps to go. So you've got to make something work, and we know how big the draft was initially. Up to Canada Corner, some drivers getting some track limits warnings, and that's going to be Thomas Belleman getting that warning. Turn 5 was a sticking point in the drivers' meeting.
Yeah, again, you can't go beyond the rumble strips, the red and yellow curbing, or the black and white striped curbing. You have to keep at least half the car on that. You're going to see Belleman running really wide there. But again, I think that was fair game that time through. But you have to note that, because if you get yourself penalized for track limits on the last lap. But look at this mess. Hold that thought. Russell Soto is on the outside of Cameron Martineau, 3 wide, Hibbett up the inside, recovering from his 30th place. We haven't talked about this 32 car yet. How about this stat? 30th to 10th, and he's still climbing.
He's done so very quietly and has just been able to make his way through the soup, so to speak, able to pick up spot after spot after spot.
Look at his heart rate, 149. I've never seen this. Kevin Hibbett gives us his heart rate monitor to look at. I've only ever seen him reach about 110, 149 BPM right now as he charges through the field. This is cool to watch. I've never seen him this focused.
Yeah, he is very actively thinking about all these spots right now. It's going to be the question of, can he find a way clearly on through to keep on going? How about a yes, he can on Nick Yanni at the very least. Nate Stewart having to defend. That might be the highest he gets, though, with how big some of the buffers are coming out up to 1 to go. Speaking of the lead, Castro wants it again. He just squeezed the 1 off to force the left.
And Andre Castro has the lead now as we head off into Canada Corner. Second place is a battle. Michael Yanni watching all this out the windshield. I don't know that you can win from 4th, 3rd, or 2nd. You certainly put yourself in a better spot. And they're coming around turn 14. Look at the contact there. Belleman shoved to the edge of the rumbles. Climbing up the hill now. White flag. 1 more lap, Justin, in rounds 9 and 10 of the championship.
Now it's a question on how big this run is going to get. We'll have to keep an eye on the rain sweep. Canada Corner's even bigger, though. Burkhardt has a decent head of steam, already a little bit quicker, but not enough to get alongside yet. Seems to be just trying to plot and plan. Burkhardt's trying to set this up. We've seen how big the run was to be able to set things up on the last lap of race 1, trying to do it again.
Down into turn 3, Andre Castro so focused right now. Turning in for turn 3. You have to get defensive on this run to turn 5, but what side do you defend? The next 2 corners, 5 and 6, are left-handers, but that right-hander at 7 is so long and full throttle. If you can stay drivers right through there, good news for you. But here comes Burkhardt with a push from Belleman on the final lap of the race.
Not sure if this is going to stick. It hasn't sticked as well all race. Further like Castro, tried to squeeze, able to get to the edge of the curbing. Burkhardt might be able to get it close to a clear, but not enough to do so yet. Oof, just got the edge down, just needs to find a way to get Castro to lift in his right-hander, and he's got it.
Burkhardt to the lead. Works his way through turn 7. Castro wants it back. Here comes Yanni to third place, putting himself in the right position. To the outside of turn 8, a little contact front to rear here. And Yanni's going to run out to the edge of the gravel. And here comes Belleman now back into the mix. He needs to beat this 23, or the championship is looking very, very hard and out of grasp now. Through the carousel for the final time here, Justin. And Morgan Burkhardt has the top spot.
Question is, though, is he going to be able to defend this run coming up? Castro might be a little bit too close at this part of the run for the full lunge he's looking for. Burkhardt with a huge defensive move contact.
A little bit of a push and shove. Here comes Belleman. We're going to be 3 wide for second place. He's in the grass. Right side Continentals in the grass here. Here comes Yanni to the outside. Canada corner braking duel. Morgan Burkhardt's going to pop out the leader, but who comes out second? It's Yanni and Castro side by side. And now 2 more corners left. Billy Mitchell Bend and turn 14. This battle has been fierce in both races. Burkhardt has yet to win a race in this championship. He does not care about the points. He does not care about the cash. He just wants the notoriety of winning one of the most competitive championships in iRacing. Up the hill for the final time. Checkered flag waving. Yanni once again drafting, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Checkered is waving. Here he comes. It's going to be close. Drag race to the line. Morgan Burkhardt, Michael Yanni who gets there first. Burkhardt by a nose. Photo finish at the line. 50 thousandths, 46 thousandths of a second, even closer than I thought. And Burkhardt wins his first race in the Toyota GR Cup North America Esports League. Wow.
How about that? Able to hold off that draft. Came down to that aggressive block to be able to hold off that run initially by Castro. Yanni still able to get a good points day, but in the end, Burkhardt was able to just hold off all the runs we were expecting for Canada corner.
That was an unbelievable finish there. And that run into Canada, let's go back and look at that again, because that was so fierce amongst these front runners. Look at this. This is Burkhardt leading, defends from Castro. That could be, I have to take another look at that one there. Race Control might want to look at it. Then Castro throws a block on Belleman, and then this just hornet's nest here, like poking the bees. Look at this. What a mess. Bet you Hawken had a great perspective on board here. Let's ride on board from the P5 finisher. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, Townend, I was about to say, had a terrific save from that contact with the left side. Had to correct the car while under braking. Difficult to do. But at this point, Hawken, not much you can see other than there's a bumper here, there's a bumper there. Gotta go. Try not to bump draft. Try and find a way to make sure he hit the braking marks without making contact. Able to see a lot of argy-barginess before it's single followed out before it's drag race.
Yeah, then the run up to the checkered flag. This was so fun to watch. There's the checkers. And as they came to the stripe, I mean, 46 thousandths of a second. Inches. I mean, there's your margin. I mean, that's a tire length, effectively. Right up to the driver's side door for Burkhardt and Yanni. Unbelievable. Let's have a look here at the race results as Morgan Burkhardt picks up his first win. That was a fun one.
Great race for Burkhardt over Michael Yanni. Again, the interval about 0.5, 0.6, or rather 0.046 seconds specifically. Castro gets a podium finish. Blake down in his best race all season, with Brandon Hawken getting in our top 5. Thomas Belleman did not get the points he was looking for at the very end. It did not swing his direction. Soto with a decent run in the lead pack, give him credit. They pulled away 3 seconds from everybody else. Hibbett, Nick Yanni, Nate Stewart recovers from his terrible race 1 with a decent race number 2. A lot of balancing acts when it comes to the performances here today, Kyle. Some of the others in that top 20 to shout out: Cameron Martineau, 16 spots picked up. Charles Wembley got a 12.
Yeah, and again, you have to shout out Camden Hibbett, that 30th to 8th. That might be the biggest move we've ever seen in a single race. Really impressive. I know Road America is one of the easier places to overtake, but I'm still just blown away with that. So job well done by all these runners here. And in a moment, we're going to get to talk to a couple of them, at least our race winners at minimum. Morgan Burkhardt, of course, race 2 winner. Brandon Hawken, race 1 winner. Justin, Toyota GR Cup, Toyota GR86s, Road America. What a potent combination. We'll get to see this in the real world next week. You'll be there.
Should be fun to see what happens next week in real life, especially with it being the Natural Park Speak when it comes to this facility. Could be first time there actually in person, but based on what I've seen in the virtual world, I'm expecting all the races to be a thriller, and we've seen how these drivers can put on a show.
Well, let's chat with one of our top 3 finishers here from race number 2, and that, of course, is going to be Andre Castro, P3 here in race 2. Andre, this was an exciting day. Lots of side-by-side, trading vinyl, so to speak, but really, really impressive drive there up into the top 5. It's just so hands-on, hip and shoulder. How did you manage to keep it pointing the right direction with everybody throwing haymakers down into Canada Corner?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, definitely happy with that after Sebring, I don't think scoring any, or VIR didn't score any points there. So good to be back on the podium twice. Yeah, and I don't know, just try to throw an elbow whenever I could. Just if I was on the inside, just kind of trying to throw guys off their turning point on my outside and just, make them try to hang it all the way around the outside. And yeah, just trying to defend my position whenever possible. Just the draft was strong, and definitely, a few minor mistakes would affect all of us. I think definitely affected me. So yeah, it was tough. It was tough not to make mistakes because it's such a momentum car. But yeah, at the end had a good run, and Morgan completely chopped my nose off. So we'll have to see. There was a lot of stuff that was on the edge. I mean, throughout that race, and I'm all for clean, hard racing for sure. Some minor contact, but definitely was a reactive move and put me in the grass. So, we'll see what the stewards say about that one. But, just got to thank eRacing Association, everyone out there for being relatively clean, and definitely was a bit less of a cluster than I thought it would be. So yeah, I can't be too upset with 2 podiums, although the win was really close.
Super, super close. Andre, nice job there. Justin, anything for Andre?
I was about to say, how difficult was it to pick the right line in this type of race, because it seemed, at first glance, the thought is, oh, there's this, and this passing spot. You guys were able to run side by side for half the lap most of the time. How difficult was it to get the right line choice? Because several times, several people chose one line, like the outside for some parts of the racetrack, and dropped to 7th.
Yeah, I think you just had to be cognizant of kind of what the next corner was. You almost had to think like 2 or 3 corners ahead, because it's kind of hard to clear in these cars. So if you kind of stay on someone's quarter panel, you can kind of side draft them down the straight and get them back into the next corner. So yeah, sometimes you didn't want to like make that dive to the inside, knowing that the following corner might be the opposite way, and you'd be hanging on the outside. And so if you were going to pass someone, you generally try to make sure you would clear them. And if you couldn't do that, then it was tough. But yeah, I think everybody was just doing the best they could out there. I mean, definitely just some haymakers and aggressive moves, but overall it was a fun race. And first win's gonna have to wait, which sucks. But yeah, happy to represent all our partners and happy to have a good run again.
Thanks, Andre. Appreciate your time. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Well, Michael Yanni is the championship leader, and today it was a pretty fun fight to watch you up in the mix there, Michael. But 2 second places, but a good round for you in the championship. I know that that's the ultimate goal, but you like winning races too. It was fun to watch. Take us through your view of all the things that happened today.
Yeah, really good day for sure. I was, again, very happy with how everyone was racing up front. It was aggressive. It was, sometimes on the edge of the rules, but, everyone kept it pretty respectful. So that was a lot of fun. Really just pick your partner. I knew that even just trying to win both races was going to be like an insane challenge here. And yeah, I mean, there were a few points where I was kind of worried because I was getting shuffled back, couldn't really work forward. But it seemed like the opportunities that I did take, the partners I was choosing through the draft, etc., was the best I could have done. I don't really think I could have beat Morgan at the end there, and then in race 1, Brandon did such a good job of kind of blocking me off in the final corner in such a precise way that I just couldn't get the run. I ended up pushing him. So yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with 2 second places. Good for the championship. Would have liked to win, but didn't get crashed, and I think that was the big objective for today.
Justin?
I was about to say as well, championship going your direction here today. What's kind of the mindset now that you've picked up such a significant buffer, especially with a couple rounds to go? Where's that mindset now, knowing you've done what you need to do so far over Bellman?
I don't really know if much will change. I don't think I'll really alter my mindset. Obviously, the championship is there in the back of my mind all the time, but I still have to perform and execute in these final rounds. And I think, like Barber, for example, I can maybe try to pull away at that track and kind of build a buffer. So it's a good mix away from all the draft tracks. So I think that one's the big focus, and then if we can get points there, then we can move on to Indy. And then Indy is probably going to be like this. So I definitely want to secure as many points as I can at Barber.
Thanks, Michael. Congratulations, and we'll see you at Barber in a couple weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And Brandon Hawken was the winner of race number 1 tonight, his first win on the season, though it was a long time coming, Brandon. Top 5s in most of your finishes this year, but you stole one away from the championship frontrunners. You yourself are becoming a championship frontrunner with 25 points on that first race, and a pretty solid race in race 2, P5. Take us through your day and your success in that first event.
Yeah, so first race, I didn't qualify quite where I wanted to, but I just kind of going for gaps where there weren't any cars, and I was able to pick off a few there at the very start, and it felt like I had like all right pace, not quite as much as Michael did, but I knew if I could stay up front, especially at this kind of track where there's just so much draft. It gets pretty difficult the further back you go. So I just wanted to stay up front, so we got a bit of a gap to the group behind. I think it was me, Morgan, and Michael there, and but the group behind did a really great job catching back up, and then so once I caught back up, I was like, you know what, I'm probably just gotta start following down the order here if I don't move, because it's just how it goes. So I thought, you know what, if I'm not going forward, I'm gonna be going backwards. So I made a move, and then for the lead, they're going into turn 1 towards the end of the race, and then from there on, I was just trying to race smart, but not give up any too many positions. And the last lap, it was pretty crazy. I think we were 3 wide going into turn 2 or 3, and Michael made a great move to the inside. He just dove it up the inside, and kind of did like a sort of a slide job, and then we had 2 groups of us going side by side down the long straight afterwards, and I was hoping I could stay close enough just to get a sniff of draft and see if I could do something, and that's what happened. There was a bit of a gap, but I managed to get enough draft to hold it around the outside, and Michael did a fantastic job keeping it really close but really clean, and just able to get the run off the corner on the final corner. So man, that was a fun race. That was a really fun race, and the second race, I got caught a little bit off guard there. The intensity ramped up quite a bit, and got shuffled back quite a bit there, and then of course when you're in the lead, you can swap back and forth between the your first and second, third, but once you get towards 5th, 7th, 8th, it's everybody's trying to get ahead of the other guy because they want to keep going forward, and I got shuffled back pretty badly there, and it was a really tough race. I was hoping we could organize ourselves and get in line, and then make a run towards the end, and towards the end we did. Got behind Blake, and I just thought I'd stay behind him while the leaders race it out, and we were able to catch back up, and I was able to we were almost going 4 wide, I think, into Canada corner, and it almost ended in disaster, but everybody did a great job keeping it clean, and I was able to grab one more position there out of the final corner. But really fun day of racing, and it creates a lot of it's a lot of fun when you have a car with a decent amount of draft, pretty low horsepower, so everybody's really stacked together, and it just makes for some fantastic racing. So just great win to Morgan there in the second race, and had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Brandon. Congratulations on your win in the top 5. We'll see you at Barber.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, race 2 winner Morgan Burkhardt. As we talk about the season implications, well, Morgan not really running for the championship, but race wins you certainly are going for, and you inserted yourself right in the middle of that. P5 in race 1, P1 in race 2, the reverse of Brendan Hawken. Take us through your day up there battling for the win. Whoop, you're muted there, Morgan. Can't hear you.
There we go.
There you go.
Push the talk on for this one. There we go. I can't talk with my hands now. I don't know what to do. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I've raced with a lot of these guys a couple times throughout the years on the sim, so it was fun to get back with all of them together at the same time. And there's a lot of really, really talented people in this field. And as you said, not really in it for the championship, but always here to have some fun and spice things up. I went into it with the mentality of I'm here to have some fun. I don't really want to push the issue too much. Don't want to take too many risks. But when I had the opportunity to go for the win, I thought I would at least give it my best shot. So tons and tons of fun. It's an absolutely incredible field.
Justin?
Will we see you in more races is the huge question now, because you're having fun this week. Will we see you try and race out even more so? And if so, what's kind of your mindset in terms of the upcoming races to close out the campaign?
I hope so. I think the next race I will probably be able to do. With my travel schedule, it's going to be really difficult to get to pretty much any of them, which is why this has been my first one all year. But I think I'll be able to do the next 2, and those are just, I'm not going to push the issue too much. If opportunities fall in my lap, obviously as a driver, I'm going to take them. But not really worried about going in there and throwing haymakers. Just want to kind of go in, watch the world go by. Don't really want to fight any of these championship contenders, because I know they've been fighting hard all season long, and I just haven't. So I don't want to get in the way of that.
Morgan, thanks so much. Congratulations on getting your first win of the season. Hopefully we'll have you back at Barber, and hopefully we'll see you there.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, Justin, wrapping things up here from Road America. Points have been updated, and Michael Yanni is nearly 2 full races ahead, 179 points over Thomas Belleman's 134. So it's going to have to be a big, big lunge to earn some points for Belleman in these last couple rounds. He needs some Sonoma-like rounds where he just sweeps the weekend, and he needs to do that probably twice.
And he needs Yanni to, for the first time, not be in the top 5, which is easier said than done. And then do it again, likely at Indianapolis Motor Speedway to close out the season. So there's a lot still up for grabs, but my goodness, Michael Yanni stayed consistent, especially what he did here at Road America. Now it's the matter of seeing how the rest of the drivers fare out in a couple weeks' time.
Yeah, Barber Motorsports Park is going to be the next race on the calendar. And, of course, our next event is going to be on August 30th. So we'll see you there for Barber Motorsports Park. Birmingham, Alabama is our next event with Indianapolis Motor Speedway, wrapping up the 2025 Toyota GR Cup North America eSports League season. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer with Justin Prince. We'll see you in virtual Birmingham on the 30th.